Welcome to Tech News Briefing. It's Wednesday, June 28th. I'm Julie Chang for the Wall Street Journal, filling in for Zoe Thomas. Elon Musk takes ketamine. Google co-founder Sergey Brin occasionally enjoys magic mushrooms. Executives at venture capital firm Founders Fund, which has invested in SpaceX and Facebook, have thrown parties that include psychedelics. Silicon Valley has long had a tolerance toward drug use. But while in the past, routine drug use was squarely an after-hours activity, these days it's become embedded in corporate culture. WSJ reporter Katherine Bindley has been speaking with folks about growing drug use across Silicon Valley, and she's with me now. Katie, I want to start with, what made you pursue this story?
Psychedelics have been used among the tech industry for a while now, but what we've been seeing more recently is really a mainstreaming of it. Instead of people being more hush about it, people are being very vocal about it in some ways. And we've got examples of executive coaches who are working with teams on navigating psychedelic use, and founders just being more public about it and what they perceive as its benefits when it comes to business breakthroughs or making them think more creatively. And there's been a huge uptick in interest. There's one guy we talked to in the story who just said even in recent months, like the number of people who've come to him for advice about microdosing has gone up pretty dramatically. And this organization MAPS, which is the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, they host this big conference in Denver, and 6 years ago they had 3,000 attendees, and this conference was held last week and they had 12,000 people there. It is certainly tech and beyond at this point.
Can you give us some examples of the people you spoke to and what they said about their drug use? What were their experiences like?
Yeah, people who use psychedelics, they can use them for a range of reasons. In some cases, it might be to help with depression or with anxiety. In other cases, like for example, when people are going on an ayahuasca retreat, there might be a desire to work through some trauma that they've had. In other cases, you have people who are using this to get an edge in business. So I spoke with a founder who just talked about, for him, he's not using it for anxiety or for depression. He's using LSD in this case, and he's microdosing it because he thinks that it helps him think more creatively. He thinks it increases his focus. And he talked about the high expectations in the tech industry of venture capitalists and investors. And his take was that this can lead to founders basically seeking out some kind of edge, and that he feels psychedelics can give you an edge. And when it comes to the sort of the pressure and the expectations of investors, he said they don't want a normal person or a normal company. They want something extraordinary. You're not born extraordinary. So that kind of helps explain the mindset of some of the people who are experimenting with these drugs.
Is there something specific about this particular moment that is fueling the increase in drug activity?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different reasons. I mean, you had Michael Pollan's best-selling book in 2018 that was subsequently turned into a Netflix series in the summer of 2022. I think that caught a lot of people's attention. And then there's also just this enormous body of research and various studies going on into the ways in which psychedelics could potentially help people, and a ton of money going into the psychedelic industry as well.
Has this become just accepted as part of doing business?
It really depends. We've talked to coaches who are helping different teams within companies navigate drug use. So, in some situations, yes, it is accepted. In other cases, definitely not. I spoke with a CEO who said that he had done LSD once in 2019. And 2 years later, he was terminated. The company at the time had sent an email to staff effectively saying that he had violated company policy. It really does depend, I think. One of the founders I spoke with who does LSD made the point that he's not just like walking around the office talking about this drug use openly, but if someone were to ask him about it, he is honest, about his use.
All right, that was our reporter, Katie Bindley. And that is it for today's Tech News Briefing. For more tech stories, check out our website, WSJ.com. I'm Julie Chang for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.